Hey, everybody, welcome into the podcast, The Counter Show. Welcome in, folks. Welcome in. As I sit here and watch my podcasting partner, Keith, over there, crack a beverage. But you are 3 hours ahead of me, so actually, I could have one now, too. Should I?
Hey, Jay.
Well,
hey, everybody. It's the holidays, man. Honestly, work has driven me to drink. But hey, my in-laws are kind of opposed to it, so I snuck out here in the RV.
Oh, I don't. In the RV?
In the RV.
Do they treat you like Cousin Eddie? Well, you were. Did you wear your Cousin Eddie outfit?
So they saw the video. I brought it. They saw the video that we released over our holiday greeting, and my father-in-law kept coming up to me and he goes, "Did you bring the Eddie hat?" And I was like, "Wait, how do you know about this? Like, what do you know?"
Yeah, yeah.
I figured it out this morning. They
watched it.
Yeah, my wife.
What kind of beer you got there?
So this is a local brew, and
hey.
I literally just had my very first sip on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Talk into the microphone.
Yeah. Or get it closer to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Our audience needs to hear you very plainly, my friend. We've had this conversation before.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's just you talking like
that sounds great.
But wait a second, Jay. I really feel like if I just put it behind my head here and we had a conversation, it would be totally fine. Is that bad radio?
Yeah, it's not a good idea. I don't think
Right.
so. I think our audience is used to the professionalism that we always portray.
All right. Well, far be it from me to stifle that. You're right. So
Yeah.
I'm just taking it was a gamble, and I always like when I travel to try to find a good local. Like I just like to try local stuff, and so.
Yeah.
This is Star Hill Brewery. It's a Ramble On IPA. It's a juicy IPA because it's kind of, festive-y, holiday, fruity, And
Right.
Star Hill is they're local here, Charlottesville, Virginia. So I'm in
okay.
Virginia, right? So,
Well,
here.
yes, Virginia, there is a Christmas. And there is a Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's kind of Christmassy. I mean, I drink it in the fall too, but it's not bad.
Right on. Yeah. Well, I'm still drinking my same IPAs. I've got some Freems, the
With a
Freem
P.
IPA with a P. Yes. I have some Hellbent Dang Citra. I've got a couple of other ones. I got like a straight out of Portland IPA.
I've seen all of those. I have access to here.
Oh,
Anywhere
really?
At home, yeah.
Oh, okay. All of those, the ones I just mentioned?
Yeah.
How in the world? I guess everybody gets on the international distributor list.
We've got a really good store in my neck of the woods. That's they're very refined palate. These guys are good.
Yeah, but you're not going to have the Farm Strong and the
No, they
North
don't have Farm
Sound
Strong.
Brewing.
No, they don't have that.
Or the Chuckanut. Or
They do not have that.
Yeah. See. Okay. Yeah. Just saying. Okay.
So
right.
yeah. So
let's talk about today's show. Let's talk
Okay.
about it. Let's get into this, man. Man, 2020 has just been one of those years, and we're wrapping up the year now, and we wanted to kind of come at you with a kind of a recap of something that we've wanted to talk about for a while, just because of we lose celebrities every year. I mean, no doubt about it, we do. But it just seems like this year, 2020, is like, 2-3-fold the number of what it normally is. Would you agree with that, or am I just like missing something, or did I just never pay attention?
Well, Jay, I'm not a scientist, but if I by the way, how's this? If you're just joining us, Jay chastised me for not having my microphone.
That's a lot better you're there.
You know what I think I need to do? I need to move it right here, so when I lean into it, you can see up my nose.
Right. And actually, when you're that close, when I can see your nose hairs, man, it really performs.
Does it help?
very well.
Okay.
Yes. Is that the Elgato?
No, it's the Rode. We have got to do a review on those Elgatos. I was looking at the boxes the other day.
Yeah.
You guys, stay tuned. We've got some Elgato microphones that are USB based that we're dying to review. But I digress. So, yeah, man, Jay put together a list of famous people that we've lost in 2020. Some due to COVID, some not. And wow, I looked through this list and I just went, holy cow, this has been a rough year.
Yeah, it's either the three. I looked at the list, and the main three causes of death were COVID, some form of cancer, or some form of heart issue.
Right. And I've seen this both personally and we see it on the list,
right?
A combination thereof.
Exactly, man. Now, I'm sure with some of these guys, they had, multiple issues. As if you look at their age, and they've been battling certain things, for many years. But we'll get into some of those. I've got some. They're the entire list, honestly, that I've put together, and there's about 40 of them. And we won't get to all of them, but we kind of
I think we could Billy Joel this. We didn't start the fire.
Yeah.
And,
I guess we can, but we'll get into a few a little deeper just because of some of the things, I've got some stories to tell about a few of these, that have personally impacted my life, and you as well.
I will pay attention to your stories this time around. So
anyway,
Jay's telling me, he's like, look, I've got this signed thing, and here's, and he sent me a photo, and I'm like, half distracted, and my wife's, and there's like the grocery guy coming to the car, and I'm, phone's ringing, and I'm like, yeah, sounds great. Put it in the shared folder, and
right.
And I'm like,
exactly, man.
But it is so that's coming up on the podcast, and those are some interesting stories. I do want to.
They are.
I will stay tuned. I can promise that.
We just kind of wanted to put something together, kind of wrap up the year, just kind of the memory thing, if you will. I'm sure we'll probably veer off course a little bit here and there. We always do, but that's what podcasts are for. They're about having a great conversation, and that we are. And before we get into any of this, on behalf of Keith and myself, we are very grateful to all of you for listening, downloading our stuff, watching our videos. It has been such a boost to our psyche, our motivation to continue to do this, and we will continue to do this. We're going to get better. We're going to bring you more content in 2021. It's going to be awesome. We've got some great things lined up for the first of the year, so be prepared for that. To catch all this stuff, go to partscounterguru.com, and up there you can find the podcast link tab. Click on that. You can get on every single platform that we have. If you want to watch some of the segments of the audio podcast, we always do a little video segment. You can catch that over on youtube.com/partscountergurus. While you are there, please give us a thumbs up, ring the bell, and subscribe. That way, when we do put videos out, you are aware of it firsthand, and you can go immediately over and watch it. Always like it. Please share. Tell people to subscribe. We live and die by those. They're free to you. They're priceless to us. Check us out on social media, facebook.com/partscountergurus. Like us, share us, tell a friend. Go over to instagram.com/thepartscountergurus. Same way, videos get posted up over there. We are on Instagram. We are at The Counter Show, and we post a bunch of stuff over there. Follow us there, like us there as well, and just tell everybody you can. Now, if you have some last-minute shopping ideas that you couldn't get in before Christmas because of the transit problems that we've had, the delivery problems we've had, I sent gifts out. None of them made it before Christmas. It is what it is. I kind of knew it going in. But if you still need something, you missed somebody, go to our website. The last episode we did was Christmas gifts for the holidays. And there's a link there, and we've got a link to everything there. Click on it. You can buy it. We've got a fixed video, a fixed app where you can buy that thing at a reduced price right now. It's an OBD scanner.
The discount link
reader.
is on
right
our
there.
website, and it's on our YouTube video in the comments.
Please use our website to go to Amazon or click on any of those links, because we do get a little love from that. We are an affiliate or an associate, I should say, and it helps us out. We don't know what you're buying, when you're buying it, none of that stuff. We just get a little love, and it helps us continue to do what we love doing for you. And that is exactly what we're doing right now. So let's get into the news. Live from the Parts Counter Guru Counter Desk. Counter Show, whatever. All right, do you want me to start this thing off? Yeah, I should, shouldn't I?
Yeah, by all means.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so... Well, now wait it. No. This is yours. Yeah, this is yours. Because I'm Jay. It's going to be in another language to me. Oh my God, that was bad.
That is so funny, man. Let me get to it. I love it.
But this is called like I threw the punchline out before the actual people know the joke. So yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. I don't know what it is with China, man. I don't know what it is with China, but it seems like everything the good old US of A does, they got to try to one-up us on everything, man. So they've been on the moon. They've been getting, like dust and rocks and stuff. And, we're talking about going to the moon again. And what do? They go up there and, they get some mud and bring it back and or dust, whatever you want to call it. And so they've done that. Now, we have McDonald's. McDonald's is one of my favorites. And I spoke about this in a previous, podcast. The McRib came back, man. And I love the McRib, and it's just fantastic. I ate it.
To some of those of you, especially my family members, it's McDonald's. But I digress.
I will tell you a story, not now, but later, about McDonald's, and it is a very true story. And I have a good friend of mine that was with me when it happened. It's very funny. But anyway, so McDonald's puts out the McRib, and here we are today talking about McDonald's over in China. They've got a new sandwich they're rolling out, and it is I'm not. Are you ready for this?
Now this is a real thing to be. It's not a joke. This is actually, if you were in China right now, you could go into a McDonald's and order this.
Yes, right. China is now offering a burger. However, the burger meat is a couple slices of Spam. We all know what Spam is, right? And crushed Oreo cookies, man. Oh, it is the most weirdest combination that I could have ever come up with. But luncheon meat is a trending food among youngsters these days, man. And so McDonald's in China told CNN, is the one that broke the story, that it has a very strong, meaty, and satisfying texture, man. I don't know what texture you're after, my friend, but Oreos ain't one of them on a burger or on a piece of Spam. So
if we had access to this, okay?
Yes.
And you could, let's just theoretically say, roll into your neighborhood McDonald's. Ooh. And while you're ordering your Diet Coke and getting a large coffee instead, would you try one of these?
Just for the sake of trying it, because I love Oreos.
Yeah.
For one. I love Oreos, for one. And I grew up eating Spam, man.
Isn't Spam like a delicacy in Hawaii?
Spam, that is one of their in the United States, Hawaii is the largest consumer of Spam, and yes, and it's the reason why the story behind it is this, and I get it, and this is why your grandparents ate it too, and your parents. Spam was basically canned meat, and in World War II in the Pacific Theater, they ate a lot of that, man. It wouldn't spoil, it would last forever, so it was just a great way to feed the troops. And in the Pacific, you have the Philippines, and you've got Hawaii. These are areas that we were staged during the war. And then, of course, you have Korea eats a lot of Spam.
Food.
Anywhere where the U.S. was, they love this stuff. It's like a delicacy over there to those guys.
Food with ridiculously long expiration dates. What could possibly be wrong with this picture?
Nothing, man. Nothing. Absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, look, it's like my grandparents, they would eat that at least once or twice a week.
So
fry it in a pan, put it on. It's like fried bologna, man. You ever eat fried bologna sandwich?
Oh yeah, now you're talking.
Now you're talking, right? See, So anyway, there you have it. I just wanted to share. McDonald's is doing some.
Well,
some crazy things.
Who knows?
Man.
It could be coming. These McDonald's, just like the car industry, where they they try things out. I still am in love with your concept in the auto industry of the live polling. Maybe McDonald's is doing some live polling right now in other countries, and who knows, it could be coming to America soon.
It could. Yes, it could. And speaking of coming to America, now, and the Golden Arches, we all know.
I'm sorry. Did you say Golden Arches?
Arcs.
Arcs. The Golden Arcs?
Not arches. Speaking of Golden Arches, we're going to talk about the Golden Arcs.
Okay.
Now, we all know what the Golden Arcs are. The famous restaurant McDowell's.
Well, that would be McDowell's, of course, yes.
That's McDowell's. Famous from the great movie with Eddie Murphy and what's the
Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio Hall, yeah. The talk show
Coming to America. Yeah.
Coming to America, man.
Just such an unbelievable display of talent in the number of characters those two play. And I gotta say, the first time that I watched it, I was not aware that I knew some of them. Like I knew that that guy, that's actually Eddie Murphy playing that character. Some of them I didn't know.
Right.
And I
the barber guy, man. The barber. He kept shouting, wasn't it Joe Louis? What was the
so have you seen the trailer for the new one?
I have, and what's fantastic, dude, go ahead, tell them.
The barber is back. The barber is back.
Everybody is back. All the characters are back. And if you look at the cast, 90% of the people that portrayed them, the actual actor then, are playing the actual character now as well. So it's awesome.
Would you agree?
Eddie is great.
This is Arsenio and Eddie. This has got to be their best work, right?
I think so. I think so. I never laughed so hard at a movie in a theater than I did at this particular one. So outside of Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke, but
yeah. Now this could actually be a brilliant move.
It's fantastic.
So we did a podcast and we have a YouTube segment on this as well.
Yeah.
The movies in 2020.
Yep.
And several times we have discussed the trouble that the movie industry itself is in. You know, AMC has been the one most recently in the news, which is, by the way, has a majority ownership, I think, of a Chinese investment group. And the Coming to America, it's coming, and then the number 2, America. This is the sequel,
right,
if you will, right to the first one.
That's
is going to be released, I believe, on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, they have the exclusive rights. It says that Amazon got that. So Amazon Studios, I should say.
In light of the troubles the traditional theaters are in right now, whether or not they intended this could be a brilliant move. I think more people stand to see it this way in early 2021, which is when it'll be out, than were it released in the theaters in a traditional way because of the pandemic. So this is going to play, I think it's going to play well for them.
I do as well. We talked about how can Apple, maybe play a role in the movies, coming back and, having
they're just making headphones. So, sorry. What?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't think they're paying attention.
They may not be, but I think they are. I think that what they want to do is they want to capitalize like they did with the iTunes on the music, and everybody said that wouldn't work, but I think that this could, which is something else on that whole subject that we need to talk about, because something we can't go to are live rock shows or concerts, period. We can't go to them.
I've got a question on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to go? Are you going to about to lead into the drink?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right, so should we save that till the end? It's a holiday cocktail. It's Sammy Hagar's recipe.
Yeah.
Would that be wise, or should we tease it now, Jay, and then save it for later?
We'll save it for later, but there is another story in here that you might want to talk about.
Okay.
Another former SNL character.
Okay.
But it's up to you, pal.
Well, okay. Let's do this. Give me a quick second, and then you can kick into that. So, or Or I can, whatever. So
No, it's all
everybody
you, man.
stay tuned to the end of the podcast. We've got Sammy Hagar's, what's this called? It's a holiday drink. The Red Saint, which it looks interesting. I would hit it. All right.
Oh, we're gonna share that with you. I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna actually. You know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna share that with my good friend Rothmeyer,
There you go.
and I'm gonna have him put that on their holiday to go.
But you got to
Menu for
tweet
New
that
Year's.
out or post it on our social media or whatever, right? So
Absolutely, man. We'll do that. We'll make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So what you were alluding
Okay.
to earlier,
Yeah.
man, this is like I feel like we're both in this sort of laid back mode because it's the holidays and we've been stressed out. We've cranked out so much content in the past like 3 weeks that it is just
Dude.
yeah, exactly.
It's been a whirlwind. We've been very busy. But everybody's been lighting their homes. Some Christmas decks.
So we did a sort of parody in our holiday greeting of the famous Christmas Vacation movie, which I just went back and watched like last weekend, just for
Funny
fun.
stuff, man.
And
Yeah, funny
my
stuff.
wife sat there and she was like, "This is not really that funny." And then I'm like, "Just watch it with me. It's kind of my turn to pick, what we watched. Let's just humor me here. Let's just, And I mean,
There are so
she
many
was
famous
hooked.
lines.
she
yeah.
was in it, and
Oh,
the
man.
whole first half of the movie, she was trying to pretend like she wasn't into it, because then she
Right.
would admit, girls, man.
I know. Saving face. I get it. Yeah.
But by the end, it was like, it was just, it just is fun every time you watch it. So we did our little holiday greeting parody. If you haven't seen that, it's
it's
it was
fantastic.
it was fun to do. Just go
award-winning,
check it
man.
out. Yeah, hopefully it'll give you a laugh.
It's award winning.
And maybe are there
We'll put a
YouTube
link.
awards for? Yeah, there you
Yeah, I think so. There's a link in. We'll put a link in the mention on the podcast, just in case you did see it. We'll just make it easy for you.
go. So we have
check it out.
talked a lot this year about the brilliant marketing team that behind Ford's recent
Oh, yeah.
releases. The Bronco, the Mustang Mach-E. I mean, kind of everything they're doing, they seem to get it to trend well on social media, and people start talking
yeah.
about it. It's buzzworthy. So this one, I just sort of stumbled on. Ford went out and got the original cast members from Christmas Vacation, right? So Beverly D'Angelo's in it, Chevy Chase, all of them. The
whole fam.
right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
kids, Russ, and what was his sister's name? Those
God,
actors,
I forget her name.
right?
I forget her name.
They're all in it. Okay.
Yes.
And they're out recreating the scene where famously Clark is trying to get, I just don't understand. I tested it again. Yeah, he's plugging them in and they won't come on.
Right.
And then wife goes in the basement, flips the light switch. Right. So,
Yeah.
but it's a Mach-E commercial. And so what greater tie-in, right? You've got an electric car and you've got
That's it.
the electric grid, right? And Chevy Chase he's looking a little rough, but a lot of mileage, I guess. But it was fun to see that commercial.
It was, man. I because we've seen the movie and we're a big fan of it. We kind of knew where they were going with it. I didn't know if they were going to use. You got to watch it. I didn't know if what they were going to use the Mach-E for. Mm-hmm. But after then I was like, oh, this is so clever. This is so clever. And I thought the same thing. Going back and we can beat this, as hard as beat this drum as hard as we can at how well Ford has marketed, some of the product that they put out. The Mach-E especially. The Ford Bronco, they've done well. They just can't seem to deliver. But that's a whole other podcast that you can go check out.
It might be 3 or 4 podcasts, Jay, if you happen to just be scrolling through
but
our list.
most recently,
as a matter
of
I'm not
fact-
saying
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we just released a video segment of the Bronco delays, so you can go check that out over on youtube.com/Parts Kind of Gurus. But yeah, I thought it was clever. I think it's fantastic. And speaking of car commercials like this for holidays and stuff, Audi has made a big push as well. And you've seen some of their commercials. And one of our friends did, another actor who we actually have had on our show, Marlon Young, the Audi series The particular commercial, it's The Neighbors, and it's about them, hanging all these Christmas lights up, just like Clark Griswold. So there you
Jay,
go.
you know him as Marlon Young. I just know him as Audi's Salesman of the Year. So I mean,
yes, man,
right?
Yes, yeah. Marlon's a great guy.
He needs the little plaque, right, that says
does.
Salesman of the Year, Audi. It has the gold ring, or it has the rings on it, right? And it's Marlon Young, Audi Salesman of the Year. That would be awesome. Somebody needs to.
We should get him one.
And by the way, we have already on our social media page, like I know for sure I posted it on Facebook. Which is what, Jay? Facebook.com/Parts Counter Gurus.
Man, you are getting so good at this.
I've literally been to that website like all of one time this month. So I'm in uncharted territory sometimes. But it is out there. If you want to see the Christmas Vacation Mach-E commercial, we posted it. Go look us up. You'll find a link to it. And the Marlin thing, have you posted that anywhere, or will you?
I haven't posted it, but we can certainly. I will do that, and we'll plug a link in here as well. That way you can go check that out. Marlin's a great guy. We really have a great gratitude for him coming on and talking with us, and we're going to have him on again. He's a Mustang fan. He has one. He has I forget which. I think the years are like early 90s.
Yeah, I remember talking to him about he was doing a rebuild, or he was about to do a rebuild. We just need to get him back on, and
yeah,
Marlon.
It's a convertible. Yeah, Marlon.
By the way,
hey,
Marlon, happy holidays. Thinking of you, brother. We haven't talked in a while.
We want you back on, pal.
I hope you're well. Really been thinking about you. Thrilled to see your. I've just turned this into my own personal holiday greeting to Marlon.
Well.
I'm hoping. Hold on, don't interrupt my message to Marlon, Jay. Hang on.
I'm still learning.
I hope you and your
pal.
family are well. And I missed you, man. I've been thinking about you a lot, so I hope things are okay. All right, sorry. Yeah, no, I'm just playing. Yeah, I mean, so I meant it, but yeah.
Yeah. We know. Yeah. So anyway, you're leading into the next one.
By the way, because I'm on sort of borrowed Wi-Fi here, I just put my phone in airplane mode, which I probably should have done before we started the show, but I'm hoping that makes our connection a little better. Yeah. So if you need to reach me, Jay, you can't do it by phone at this point. You'll have to
I'll just
hold up something over your head,
cue cards or something. Yeah.
Right,
I got you.
Right.
I'll try my best to do animals on the wall here.
Okay, so we're gonna continue down the car thing. Is that where you were about to tell me?
This is all you, man. Yeah, this is you. You found this. I thought this was pretty funny.
So, we did a podcast we covered it on a podcast earlier in the year. Like, I think it was like spring or summer of this year, right? The DeLorean, didn't we? Was that this year?
Yeah.
And this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I almost. I mean, like, I had the checkbook out. I had 3 or 4 dinner table conversations with my wife that had, I had moved it through the approval process, if you will. And Jay, you know what I'm talking about. And you folks at home, you probably know what I'm talking about as well. And it was right before we were going to take our Disney trip in February, and then the pandemic hit, and I never pulled the trigger. And there was something about it. I was just like, I can't, and I just didn't feel right about it. I had a DeLorean lined up. It had less than 30,000 miles on it, original factory miles. I was gonna buy it. I knew the owner. It was a single owner, I think. But if not, the guy that was the current owner had it for probably almost 20 years. Anyway, I love DeLoreans, and the reason I probably am drawn to them so much is Back to the Future, of course. But the more you know about John DeLorean and his story and how unique that car was in the day, just the more fascinating. The engines in them were not great, but there's just a fascinating concept of what they were trying to do, right?
Who would you say is more quirky, John DeLorean or Elon Musk?
Ooh,
who is more?
See, that's a great point, because they really are. John DeLorean was the Elon Musk of the 80s. Right. And y'all have to remember, this was before internet, right? This was before we had like social media and YouTube. And so he did such an amazing job of getting recognized for his product. Here's a question, Jay. If John DeLorean would have done his DeLorean now instead of in in the early 80s,
Right.
do you think it would be the huge hit that Tesla is?
I think so.
I do
because
too.
I really do, because I think that those they may even compete head to head.
Now, take out Back to the Future. Remove that.
Ooh,
Is he still a big deal?
that's interesting.
Because
I
you
think
have to
so,
remember, by the time Back to the Future came out, the DeLoreans that we know were pretty much
kinda
done. Yeah.
done. Yeah, I mean, you might see one here or there.
He had already
I don't
kind
know.
of started down that path of trouble, right? And
You know what? But at the end of the day, though, if you think about it, if there were no DeLorean, there probably would be no Tesla.
ooh, that's
Honestly.
yeah.
I mean, because I think if you look at the similarities between these two guys and some of the cutting edge technology that
Right.
what the DeLorean was for then. I mean, we're talking late 70s, 80s, man.
Yep.
When this thing was popular back in its heyday. And then of course he got in a lot of trouble, and then now you got Elon Musk that kind of carried the torch in his own way. Yeah, it's interesting, man. They have some some
Yeah.
parallel
So-
stuff going on there.
So we talked about in a previous podcast this year, DeLorean's 40th anniversary and the potential of. They were attempting to re-release or release a new updated version of the DMC-12, and there was some legislation issues that they were having. I think it had to do with, if I'm not mistaken, the EPA. It might have been the FTSHSB, the Federal Transportation Safety Highway Transportation, whatever
Right.
acronym.
Yeah.
Federal, the National Highway Yeah, thank you. Anyway, you know what I mean.
NHTSCV.
Thank you. But they were stumbling a little bit, and it was uncertain. And then, of course, COVID hit, and the pandemic, and the shutdown. And so I'm not sure that ever came to fruition. But there's a designer out there, and this came to us via Maxim. Jay, you remember Maxim, right?
Yeah, I
That
do.
magazine we all subscribe to.
Maxim magazine, yes.
I miss Maxim
Hey,
so
baby.
much. I didn't know they were still around, but
Dude, you
apparently
gotta have
they
some
are.
You gotta have some Barry White, music going in there, because I mean, if you
for
were
Maxim, but that's kind of like, man, all
yeah,
right.
but if you were reading Maximum, dude, if you were reading Maxim, you were like the man. Yeah, that's right, baby. Those are my Maxim mags over on the counter. That's right.
I gotta say, okay, now you've pulled me down a rabbit hole. Okay, so for a long time, they used to do this thing on the spine. Do you remember this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. Yeah.
And
Refresh my memory.
I collected them. I saved them for 3 or 4 years, and I had them when I met my wife, my now wife.
Yeah, you
I wasn't
stack
married
them
at the time.
and they would. Yeah.
If you put them in a bookshelf and you lined them up by issue date, there was a supermodel photo that was on the
Right.
on the spines that created
Yeah.
so you'd literally get like this much each month, right? And then you just have to complete the picture. Yeah.
Now, you want to talk about great marketing? Because you were buying them just to complete the picture of the supermodel.
Yeah. Right.
That's
right.
right. Yeah, we're just all reading that stuff for the articles, my friend.
So anyway, before I get too far into that,
Or buying that stuff, I should
there's
say.
an article on Maxim, and there is a designer that has taken a shot at what he thinks the DMC-12 should look like if they do release a 40th anniversary in 2021.
Got my vote.
And
Got my vote,
yes. Spanish designer Angel Guerrera decided to create a totally contemporary version in his spare time.
Mm-hmm.
This thing, DeLorean, if you're listening, this is it. This is the one you need to make.
Now
This-
is your time.
It is the perfect combination of art, keeping the spirit of the DeLorean. You know, it's got the gold wing doors. And it's such a classy look. It's a side profile to me. Even a little bit looks like an Aston Martin, a little bit,
Right.
but it's so good looking. This is Jay. There have been many eras where cars were art
Right.
in our past, and we get into
Absolutely.
things like in the 80s where it's like what is this? You know, these are all, and to some extent, we've had periods of that recently. This is a car. This is a timeless car design. It is.
It is
beautiful.
I think they have to do that. I when I first saw it, man, I'm like, wow. Here's what I like in this too. Okay, Ford Mustang. They gotta come out with something that, you know, the Mustang's not doing that well. Complete new redesign. There's some favoritism towards like nostalgia with it. Can we like bring in some of the body lines and the wideness and just that beefiness of what the Mach used to look like, or, you know, the original like ponies that were out there, and they hit it out of the park. They hired a design team to come in and bring all those elements in to that body and styling, and Ford hit it out of the park with the new generation Ford Mustang that we have out on the market today. Now, since that design, which I think was in the early, like maybe 2008, 9, 10-ish, somewhere around there, they have kind of refined that a little bit, and it's kind of a Euro design, but they're still keeping some of those elements. It's a sleeker look.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more like car, right? Like it's just like like this blender that all we.
It reminds me of the Jag.
It's like you reach in. Okay, so we did Disney before the pandemic hit in February, and we did the Droid Depot, and my son and I, Sideshot and I, built a droid, and it was an awesome experience. We put a video out on it, which is a little bit unrelated for guys at the Parts Counter show, but it was fun. And you've got this conveyor belt, and you've got parts coming down the conveyor belt, right? And you can do, you know, R2 style or BB-8 style, BB style, but you're going to get like either like a bucket head or a round head or, you know, sphere or dome or whatever. And there's really a limit to how many of those. And my point that I'm trying to make here is these modern car designers, it tends to be like, well, let's just reach off that conveyor belt, grab like a front end, right? And this is not that. And you know, Jay, one of the things that I immediately went to when I was looking at this, and I'd be interested to hear if you thought this also, is, you know, if you're going to do a DeLorean, you must do the gull wing doors. You must. I mean, even Elon Musk loved that so much that he put it in his Model X, right? So does the car look... Of course the car is going to look interesting with those open, right? And they're all going to show you pictures with those doors open. What's the car look like with those doors closed? And this rendering looks like a fantastic, beautiful car, piece of art with the doors. It is every bit as impressive with the doors closed as it is with the doors open. Would you agree?
I would, kind of like the Tesla.
Yeah.
You know, just one of those rides. But this one, man, it looks really, really sexy, man. I mean, it's sexy and just it's macho at the same time, man. It's got that masculine, sexy, just this. If they do this, if they pull this off, I would be happy for them. And it's a long time coming.
I wouldn't be happy. I think I would possibly try to get in line for one. I mean it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I'd take that Bronco money and throw it at
No, you could take it and park it right next to that Bronco that you'll never get.
Right?
Yeah, because if they don't come up with a tranny for that thing anyway. So yeah, that's a great story, man. I'm happy. Yeah, we did. You're right. We did talk about that, and we thought it was really cool. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
For the year coming up is 40 years.
Right. Yeah. 2021. It'll be 40 years.
40 years. So good stuff, man. Yeah. So what else we got? Is that?
So I got one more.
Okay.
This is a little bit of a holiday theme, and you may have some more. I'm not sure, but I've got one for sure.
Yeah.
So before we Billy Joel our we didn't start the fire kind of people we've lost this year, but Jay, you may not know this because you are a gamer one day a year on April 1st, but I know you're not a huge gamer, right?
Right. No. No, I'm not a gamer per se.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, you put a Oculus set of goggles on me, or a an old Atari set,
Yeah.
those Galacas. I'm all over it, man.
Well,
Space Invaders and stuff.
I rebuilt the NES, which I've got running in a little, like, it looks like the original NES box, but it's like this
Right.
big. And I introduced my son to it. We were playing, Mario, Super Mario Brothers. It was awesome.
But
So-
these games like Balls of Doom, I can't. What?
Well, the big ones right now are Roblox, Among Us, Minecraft.
Oh, that's it, Roblox.
And you
Those
mentioned,
Balls
the VR headsets. Microsoft Flight Simulator, which has been a huge hit this year, which I own, has announced they are going to be VR compatible, which I'm just hugely thrilled about. Now that's more of a flight simulator and less of a game, but it's
yeah.
anyway. I digress. So the big holiday get this year, if you can, and let me put this in perspective for you. It's probably harder to get one of these than, remember Cabbage Patch Dolls, Cabbage Patch Kids.
You know what?
Okay.
I do. I do, man.
And people would come to school, or a news article would show up where such and such toy store down at the mall in,
It's hard.
Chesterfield is going to be getting a, shipment of Cabbage Patch Dolls on December 14th. And everybody would just my dad went down there and he got one, and they would wait in line and,
Yeah. Right.
So this year, and this is largely due to the pandemic, the two major game console manufacturers, that would be Sony with their PlayStation 5 and Microsoft with both their Xbox Series X, which is their heavy hitter, and the Series X, which is it's like the MacBook Air version. It's a little bit less powerful. It can't do 4K. So
Right.
they both have released those for the holidays starting around Thanksgiving, but you can't get one. And that's due to supply chain issues because a lot of this stuff is assembled and built in China.
Right.
And these guys have now been doing this for many, many years. They know how many pre-orders to expect. And they knew coming into this summer, they said, we're not going to be able to hit that. We're just not. We just can't ramp up our manufacturing because of the pandemic and the shutdowns. So, Jay, I have to tell you, on my Christmas list was an Xbox Series X. And I told my wife 3 months ago, and I was like, just get in line. Look, it's not going to be a deal breaker. I'm a guy. Every day is kind of Christmas for me. I don't need things to make me happy. But look, if you're asking me what I want, I mean, that's kind of high on my list, right? My son and I play games. We play a lot of driving, simulator games, racing games. And so she's like, all right, I'll try. And, she's kind of dropping hints this whole time. She's like, and it just isn't going to happen. Well, I last week, both Best Buy and Walmart announced that they were going to be releasing some on a certain day. And Jay, they sold out so fast that you could not, it would be on the website, in stock, add to shopping cart, out of stock, in stock, out of stock, in stock, out of stock. I literally had my mouse pointer over the spot where the add to cart button would be, and I would hit the Command R to reload the page, refresh the page, click.
Ooh.
Command R, click. Command R, click.
Kind of like
click.
buying concert tickets. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, Command R, click. Command R, click. Command R, click. And then I got one, finally, after trying for about 45 minutes, I got one in my cart. And I was already logged in, and it was under my wife's account because I think it was Walmart. And I move over to checkout, and it asks me to verify my address, and I do, and it goes, yeah, sorry, sold out. And it was all of about 20 seconds after I put it in my cart. So you're not getting one, okay? Unless you're very, very fortunate. And if you are, congratulations. The rest of us have to wait in line. But in the interim, there is a KFC console. Yes, that KFC, as in, Kentucky
Are we
Fried
talking
Chicken.
finger looking good Kentucky Fried Chicken
That's
KFC?
what we're talking about.
Holy cow! The Colonel's now into consoles.
So to capitalize on all this console buzz, there is this is a real thing. It looks kind of like a chicken bucket. It's black and red, and the KFC console is here. This is from Tech Radar. Approved by Colonel Sanders himself, the KFC console is here, and it finally solves a problem that literally no one cared about until now: how to keep your chicken warm while gaming.
Oh my God!
So they created this in partnership with Cooler Master, who's a big PC parts manufacturer. They make like enclosures and fans and just all kinds of case mod stuff.
Right.
And there's a YouTube, or there's a, I'm sorry, there's a, yeah, it looks like a YouTube video.
There's a YouTube video on it. Yeah, I see it.
And it's designed to keep your freshly purchased food piping as you frag foes online. Something with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X simply can't do, and we wouldn't advise trying either. So it's a custom devised cooling system that extracts system heat around the outside of the chicken chamber so the hardware stays suitably cool and your chicken stays warm. So it is a PC, and it throws the heat out the top of the bucket shape to keep whatever you set on top of it warm. Okay?
Can I say this?
Yeah.
This is genius.
Well, it's at least finger clicking good, Jay.
Oh, I didn't see that one coming. That's great. But the reason why I say that's genius is because I have 2 adult sons who game. I mean, that's just what they do, man. I mean, outside of work. But
Yep.
seriously, you couldn't get them out of the room to
let's be honest,
to eat.
game
so
first,
here,
work second. I mean, it's
right.
like, you live the
Gee
game,
whiz,
right?
man. Yeah. So, wow, man.
So it is a real thing. And we'll probably put a link to it on our Mention on the Podcast page. Just go to partscounterguru.com, click on the Mention on the Podcast tab just below the top of the page as I yank my headphones out here.
Check this out. And this is how KFC is so good at marketing, man. They have PS5 US quick links, and they also have PS5 UK quick links. So we got you covered, people.
Yeah.
We have you covered, man. You know, I've got some people that are like family members from the past that live down in Australia that listen to us. So maybe Australia has a link too. I don't know. Darren, if you're listening.
If you could get your hands on either a PS5 right now or an Xbox Series X or S, they're going for almost double the price on eBay. I mean, that's
very similar to what is going on with my youngest son was looking for a brand new graphics card. It's like,
yeah. Well, we ran into it with something you mentioned earlier in the show, which is the Elgato microphones. Mm-hmm. We actually got them first edition, and then there was a supply chain shortage. And Jay and I held off on doing reviews on these because my objection was, what good is it going to do to release a review? Nobody can buy one. I mean, so it's great that we can put the information out there, but if you can't get one, it's useless, right? So now I think you can actually get them again.
Yeah, this is true. But I tell you what,
tech shortages across the board.
It is. And here's what's happening, though. People that can get their hands on them, they're selling them. Supply and demand, right? But
well,
they're like
it's 100% markup. I mean,
200% markup in some cases, man. We've seen.
Just you can turn around and flip that thing in a week and double your money. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I think the normal cost on this thing was right around $500 for the graphics card.
Yeah,
and there's people on, eBay and wherever selling this thing. These tech sites selling these things for $1,500, $2,000, and people are buying them.
I bought a new PC this year. I have always built my own. Mm-hmm. And just don't have the time anymore. And because of the work that I do, and you know what I do, and a lot of it revolves around video editing, but I do a little gaming as well. I needed a high-end. So that graphics card is important. Mm-hmm. And I bought an Alienware, which Dell now owns. That's traditionally a high-end gaming PC. It took them a month and a half to get it to me. Month and a half.
Crazy.
Just that's how far backed up the supply chain is.
While in the meantime, Apple is just
you got your MacBook Pro in what, like 2 weeks?
Less than that.
Yeah.
Well,
Tim Cook that's his expertise. He's a supply chain guy. That's what he
figured out.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing came from China, man, and it was here built to my specs.
He literally was known for that while he worked for Steve Jobs. I mean, that was his area of expertise.
Unreal.
So, yeah.
Unreal, man. Okay, so
cue Billy Joel.
Good? Are we ready to, who didn't start the fire kind of thing?
Yeah. So I think so.
Speaking of Billy Joel, I like Billy Joel, man.
Yeah, I was hoping you weren't going to say he was on the list. That would be sad.
No. He's not on the list. I like Billy Joel. Glass House is one of my favorite albums.
Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go with, this is tough. This is really, really tough.
Piano Man.
Favorite Billy Joel album. Can this be done? Is it even fair to do this?
No, probably not. Let's save that for a whole other podcast.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Let's do that. We'll bring Marlon on because Marlon's he loves.
Is a
great
Billy
music.
Joel fan?
I don't know if he's a fan of. He's a fan of great music, so I'm sure he is. I mean, why wouldn't he be? He loves Van Halen. You know, he's big on those guys, and so there you go.
Should we
You know,
do
so
a favorite Billy Joel album podcast?
Why not? We can
Okay.
maybe we can get Billy Joel on. Maybe
Okay.
you know he's got nothing going on. He plays what? Still playing up at the.
He's still
the
selling
Garden.
out.
He's still selling
yeah.
out. He said he was going to play the Garden as long as he could sell out, and he's selling out every show.
Yeah.
And he plays there like I think once a month or something, or maybe
Yeah.
twice a month or something.
Yeah,
Two
I mean-
2 shows a month. These guys living life, man. Oh yeah, ka-ching. You got it. Ooh. Money. Anyway,
I would tell you though, although you would probably already suspect this, I think his best work was done in the Christy Brinkley years. I really do,
What?
because he was so motivated back then, man.
Well, he was in love, man. I mean,
Yeah.
he wrote a lot of great hits because of her. I mean, she impacted a lot of his.
A lot of people, you know, the whole thing they say when you get married, you kind of fatten up a little bit because you're happy and you eat, you know, and
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
and maybe you stop trying. I think he tried harder. I think he was so
Yeah.
inspired when he. Anyway, all right. So we to not
Okay,
turn this
we're
into
going to save this for that pocket. We're going to go, you know, the best Billy Joel album. If you're interested, listen. If you're not, listen. Okay, so there you go.
So Jay has put together notable deaths in 2020. We have been talking for a long time about so many of these people, and we thought, you know what? Why not just discuss it with our fans, with our audience, and let's take a shot at. I'll bet you folks listening and watching this on YouTube right now or wherever you're watching it had no idea there were this many notable people, celebrities that we have lost, that have passed in 2020.
I mean, like I said to you in the beginning of the podcast, Keith, I don't know if it's just more awareness of it or lack of awareness, or is it just because this year has just been such a rough year. Now, we do know that the effects of COVID are not only physically affecting
Right.
people, but they are, you know, psychologically affecting people, which also can lead to untimely deaths. So I think that
Well-
there is some connection to the fact that it's the year of COVID. The pandemic has caused some unwanted stress on people, especially some of the elderly folks.
Right. And, you know, I mean, as we're going to see with a couple of these, I mean, there were deaths directly related.
Directly
So-
related to COVID, yes.
I mean, I know we're going to spend time on more of these than others.
Right.
But let's just, and the first few we're probably going to spend a lot of time on, but that's okay. Let's just go down the list, Jay, and, you know, stop where
just-
you feel like you want to stop. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, let's just go ahead. We'll start. You know, and again, and this is in no specific order. It
Yeah.
was just, you know, me doing the research and finding out, coming to my memory. Oh, that's right, he passed away or she passed
Yeah.
away or whatever. So, and oddly enough, man, there's way more men on this list than there are women. So, which is proof that women outlive men still.
Right.
So we got to work on that. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start. The first one on my list was John Prine. Now, maybe you don't know who John Prine is, and if you do not, then let me welcome you into the show. My name is Jay, and that's my podcasting partner Keith over there. And what is the address of your rock? Can you please tell me that? Anyway, John Prine was an American country folk singer-songwriter, and he probably inspired the majority of the 70s and 80s writers, like your Bonnie Raitt's,
So he was cool before
Steve Earle. He was
hipster was
Oh.
cool. He was cool before all the trendy stuff that's going on now. And I would say there's probably not a singer-songwriter alive that wasn't in some way influenced by John Prine.
Absolutely. And I mean, you could sit and again, now folks, you've got to it's about the song, how it's written, how it's phrased when you sing it. You know, Dylan is one of those guys. Bob Dylan is one of those guys. Now, he has his own unique way of singing. And then, you know, again, you can ask anyone. And Dolly Parton, she is a living example of this. She makes more money off of publishing rights than she does going out. You know, of course, she might be making more money off of Dollywood now, but if you're in the music industry, the recording industry, songwriting and publishing are where you want to be.
Right.
There are so many benefits from that. And again, example, Dolly Parton, her song "I Will Always Love You," she cut it, and it was a huge hit for her.
Garth Brooks, same way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Dolly also was approached by Elvis to cut that song, but he wanted the rights to it, and she turned him down.
Can you just in your mind just try to for a second envision that Elvis? Phone call, right?
Right. But
I mean, how's your Elvis impersonation? I mean, I can do a decent Dolly if you want to, you know. I mean,
hey, Dolly, I'd like to sing that song. Can I get to sing a song? Yeah, you know that "I'll Always Love You." You kind of gotta pulls on my heartstring, honey. Anyway,
no. That's all I got, man. You did great, though.
That's all you got. But anyway,
so
you know, this is the kind of guy he was. But he's a very well respected artist, singer, songwriter, composer. He wrote a lot, and a lot of people cut his songs.
To those of you who are maybe jazz or classical in terms of what you're into, I don't know how many of our listeners that would be. Probably not many. But I had another thought. Mm-hmm. Which is John Prine was to country and singer-songwriter pop kind of, he was the Miles Davis of those genres. So Miles,
absolutely good analogy.
The thing that people say about Miles is, I can't get past his crappy sound. Like his tone was awful. Like horn players. Like I remember, you know, in being in bands and guys would go, he just, you know, younger people, kids, they would go, he just sounds awful. Like his pitch is like. He's pitch wise he's there, but sound wise like it's crummy, it's crackly, and I'm like, oh yeah, but what he's doing it's the sleeper car, right? He pulls up to the line and it looks like it's like some beat up old like Dodge Duster.
Absolutely, man.
And it's got like a 308 in it or something, and it's, you know, and
just let me tell you how impactful he was right up to the very last moment. He released an album in 2020, the year that he died of COVID, man.
Yeah.
That went straight to the top. Why is that? I mean, this is a guy who is, how old was he? He died he was 73 years old, died April 7th of 2020. Wow, I can't believe that. It's just hard to believe. But let me tell you a quick story about this. Okay, so I grew up in a family, a lot of music around. Very big, genres all over the place. I mean, I was into Little Richard. I was into Led Zeppelin. I was into Black Sabbath. But I was also into John Prine, Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard. Do you notice the similarities between all these?
Yeah.
These are great songwriters, people who, their craft at that is, if you take a minute to listen to the arrangement, the little things that are so important that makes a great song great. John Prine was one of those guys, and I was turned on to him by a cousin of mine way back, and remember listening to him because I was into Chris Christopherson as well. Really liked him as well. Another great songwriter who we've lost, not this particular year, but we've lost. So anyway, you go through life going, great, man. You listen to all of his songs and his albums and everything. So I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, to make it in music. That was my goal. That was why I wanted to move to Nashville. And early on in the early 90s, Bonnie Raitt was on tour. And back in those days in the early 90s, it's not like today. The promoters didn't promote them like they do now. The digital age has helped that. You used to go camp out for tickets if you wanted a good seat. I used to go outside of Turtle Records with a sleeping bag and a pillow and spend all night waiting to get in line to buy to pay cash for a pay-per-ticket. That was how we did it. So I buy my Bonnie Raitt tickets. It was the Luck of the Draw tour. Great album, man. You remember that album, right?
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
It was at Starwood Amphitheater.
Yeah.
And
you used to live not far from there.
No opening act on the ticket. We had no idea who was going to be there. I had front row seats, dude. And
Nashville Outdoor Amphitheater was a great example of it. It was a real struggle to stay in business because everybody knew somebody in Nashville and nobody wanted to pay for tickets. And
I can't. So I cannot tell you how many of those.
I think we might be having a Mandela effect moment here. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Chris Christopherson is still with us. You know that, right?
He is.
Or did you come from in your reality? Is he no longer with us? He's still alive.
I thought that he passed away.
No, he's still alive. I'm looking at his wiki page right now.
It may be
84 years old.
Who else is on this page that made me think of Chris?
Yeah,
and he did die this year, and that's Mac Davis. And we'll get to Mac. So, hey, you're not as bright as you used to be.
My light just died.
Yeah.
It's
and I don't mean that like you're not. I don't mean that.
Oh no,
like
it's literally probably true.
Not meaning that you went total Gump on me or anything, but anyway. So
there we go.
Opening act that nobody knows, and all of a sudden you hear the promoter get on stage and go, "Ladies and gentlemen, John Prine." Holy man, I even forgot that Bonnie Raitt was coming on. I mean, seriously, that's how I was like, I am watching an absolute American treasure, man, on stage right now. And he came out later during Bonnie's set and sang what was that, Angel from Montgomery, that was a big hit for her. And just unbelievable, man. So that I got to see him back in his prime, and I say back in his prime. I mean, he was probably coming out of. I don't know that he ever lost his prime, man. I mean, the guy he was like
relevant
just a machine. Absolutely, man. So anyway, we lost a national treasure in John Prine, and there'll never be another John Prine. I don't care how you slice that and dice that. I am.
Yeah, and in that same and so many of these on this list that's true of, but especially this next guy, there'll never be another one like him. He was a national treasure, significance to both of us in different ways, but Eddie Van Halen, not a COVID death. John Prine's was a COVID death.
Right.
Eddie's had been battling cancer for a long time, but wow, I mean. The thought that I will never hear another new guitar riff from Eddie is just, it's a really sad thought. That's
it is.
That's another one. I mean, probably more significant than Elon Musk in terms of his contributions to his industry.
Oh, he was our Mozart. He was our Mozart. I mean, that's his contributions to music. Yes.
And ironically, he borrowed from Bach, Mozart, many of the classic greats.
Yeah. Named his son Wolfgang.
Wow. Can you imagine that conversation? Hey, honey, I know we've been talking about Valerie. I know we've been talking about names. I just got one I wanted to throw by you here. How about Wolfgang?
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and of course, since his death. Since his death. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, but he's Eddie. Who's going to say no to Eddie, right?
Right.
What was it? What was his alternate? Whammy. We're going to go. Okay, let's just call him Whammy.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
But or intonation. Anyway, so. Eddie was impactful to me too, man. I mean, Van Halen, were really impactful in my life from the standpoint of when I started playing live. First cover band I was ever in. I mean, we wanted to be like Van Halen. I mean, everybody in the band had something on that looked like what Van Halen would wear on stage. our lead guitar player, the first thing he learned to play was Eruption, and we wore it out, man. Why not? But Wolfgang released his first solo album after his dad's passing, and if you haven't seen the video of his first single, you remember what the name of that was by chance, Keith? Right off the top of your head?
No, but it's a tribute to his dad.
It is.
I don't. It's great.
And I had no idea. It's fantastic, and I'll tell you what. Wolfgang showed the real human side of his dad. And
he did.
For a lot of you, yeah.
He did not try to sound like Van Halen, which is great.
No,
his
not at all.
Music is it's
completely
him.
Different. If you're looking to hear Van Halen, then don't buy Wolfie's stuff, man. Period. I will tell you that his stuff is fantastic. You can tell how talented he is. The apple didn't fall far from that tree.
Well, all the musicians on the album are him. So it's Mammoth is the band, right?
He does and sings, the whole everything about it. I mean, vocals, everything. It was fantastic. But again, it was a very moving tribute to his dad. And good for him. I'm glad he did it. I appreciate him doing it because it gave me a little bit more a better picture of how he was as a father. Everybody thinks that all musicians that are fathers are bad guys. They're not. Yes, you have stories out there of musicians that were never around, but I'm sure they wanted to be. But then you have some that didn't. But you've got average, everyday people that are that way. So you can't. But there is that thought. You're going to come right out of the chute thinking that just because he's some sort of rock star that he's not a good dad. And he was completely 180 from that. He was a great father. And Wolfie, being the guy that he is, certainly has made his dad proud, I'm sure. So, but anyway, it was hard to lose him, man. It really was. So
the battery on my light just died, but while I'm in the dark here, let me run you through. Now, here's what we're going to do, Jay. I'm going to rapid fire 4 or 5 of these, and then I'm going to stop on one that I know for sure you want to talk about, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So here we go. So these may not be in the particular order that you think they're going to be in, but I'm going to try to hit the ones that I know there's a story behind. Man. So Sean Connery, greatest Jeopardy contestant of all time, rest his soul.
I'll take
Kenny Rogers,
the rapist for $500, Alex.
Thank you. Kenny Rogers, Neil Peart, Kobe Bryant, Kirk Douglas, who I did not know until I read this, had passed. Jerry Stiller, Ben's dad, and famous. He's been on a lot of stuff, but probably most famous from Seinfeld. Regis Philbin, Wilford Brimley, who did dare I ask, did he die from diabetes or?
I don't think so, but everybody knows the conversation about diabetes. Wilford,
and then I love how you worded this. The notorious RBG, which of course it took me a second, would be Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Fred Willard, Bill Withers, who my wife, I caught her singing some of his stuff the other day. Lovely day. And then Brian Howe from Bad Company, not the original lead singer. That would be Rogers. What's his first name?
Rogers.
Paul Rogers.
Paul Rogers, yeah. He's a fantastic vocalist as well.
Yeah, Brian Howe was more involved in like Holy Water and Here Comes Trouble, and
Oh, and great rock albums, by the way, that he did with those guys.
Joe Diffie, Mac Davis, Charlie Pride, which was a COVID death. Katie Oslin, who technically was not a COVID death. She had multiple bypass surgery on heart surgery, but then contracted COVID. And this is the kind of thing that it happened to somebody that we both know that lived in my neighborhood. And it's like, well, what do you technically blame for that death then? Because, they couldn't perform in a lot of these cases because they contracted COVID. They couldn't perform the regular procedures that they would to try to preserve that life. So I don't know.
Right.
But then, of course, and you've got a story here, Little Richard, who we've talked about before on the show. Jay apparently had had Little Richard on speed dial. What?
No,
you went into this story on the podcast.
I did, and I got to share it again.
A while back.
It was like right after he passed away.
Yeah,
and we talked about it, and I've been a Little Richard fan since I think the day I was born, because my mother and my father both were huge Little Richard fans. And let's face it, what he did for rock and roll, just incredible, man. I mean, he broke.
Well, he was a showman, right? I mean, he could play, of course. You have to be able to cut the mustard.
Hey, you can ask anybody.
The showmanship.
I mean, showmanship. Anybody who is of that era, like say 70s rock, hard rock, 60s hard rock, they wanted to be Little Richard, man.
Yep.
I mean, Lemmy from Motorhead, he'll tell you that was like, if he was still alive, he would tell you that Little Richard was like one of his idols, man. So he absolutely loved the guy.
Right.
So I loved him too, because he had catchy songs. They were great. He was entertaining. He was flamboyant. You saw him, man. It was like, wow, this is the real deal, man. This guy is the whole package. So anyway, we, my wife and I and a couple of friends of ours, just happened to be downtown Nashville, and we were going to it was a Indianapolis Colts game, I think, and Titans game.
And that's
that we were going to.
What is that, like water polo or basket weaving or what?
yeah
NFL
for all
sport,
of you people
right?
who don't know. Yeah, absolutely. And so we always stayed downtown at the Hilton, and this is
do you
back
think
in the
there'll
day
ever
when
be a day when you don't make a football reference that I won't play dumb? I mean,
probably not.
All right.
But I think Keith remembers these days. I used to smoke cigarettes, and so this particular morning I went out to have a cup of coffee and smoke a cigarette outside, because you could smoke inside. So I go out front of the hotel and I look over to my left, and I had my iPhone on me, and I'm looking over and I see this guy, and it's like, oh, that's like Little Richard, man. And so I pull my phone out and I go to snap a picture, and out of the blue, my hand gets grabbed. Don't do that. He doesn't want you to take his picture. I'm like, oh man, I'm like the biggest fan of this guy, man. I mean, I grew up on him, man. I just want to, thank him for being what he is. He goes, come on. Walks me over. This guy was part of his security entourage. Walks me over to the van. He is sitting in a wheelchair, and just dressed to the nines, man. I mean, this guy, makeup, hair, he looked like he was ready to go on stage. And we talked. I just told him how much of a fan I was, how much I grew up on him, and all he could say to me was, "Oh, God bless you, son, God bless you," And I said, pray for you, and I hope you get well, because he was obviously in not a good shape. I found out later he was in town for some sort of like hip replacement surgery or something like that at a local hospital there, and he ended up autographing a picture for me and giving me a book, and he wrote inside the book, "God bless you," and just a moving moment for me, and I still have that, and we'll put a picture up somewhere in here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so Jay, you were able to locate that. I saw the picture and I said, you gotta share this story, because that's
just a great story, man. And of course we lost him this year, and so I immediately pulled that out. I keep it in a special place. It's when I travel, it's with me wherever I go. Because there are some really encouraging words in that book from Little Richard.
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty cool thing. So it's not his book; it's just a book that he kept on him, and he wanted to share that. So whoever he met, he would share that book. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, and he was nice enough to share a picture of him with me and autograph the picture and everything too. So it's really cool. So
all right, now. I need your help with a couple of these. I'm not sure who they are.
Sure.
Who was the host of Jeopardy for 200? You see what I did there? Alex Trebek, of course. David Prowse. Who is David Prowse?
David Prowse.
Am I saying that wrong? David Prowse. Really?
I know it. Yeah. Yes. You should know this. This is why I put this in here. Sorry about that. David Charles Prowse.
Oh my gosh. I feel stupid. Okay. He was the physical representation of Darth Vader, right?
That is correct. Yes.
All
He
right.
lost Darth, the dark side.
Rhonda Fleming. Who was Rhonda Fleming?
Rhonda Fleming was an actress. I think she was. She may have been in some films with Elvis.
Oh, right. Okay, Chadwick Boseman. Who was that? I'm playing.
Oh, come on, man! Really?
Black Panther from the Marvel series.
Absolutely.
John
She-
Lewis, Nick Cordero, James Lipton. I'm sorry, you were about to say.
just say that Rhonda Fleming, one of the only females that we have on the list here, she was known as the Queen of Technicolor, man.
Now-
because she photographed so well.
Now I have to go Google her. We'll get to 27 in a minute. James Lipton, Inside the Actor Studio guy, correct?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man.
Gail Sawyers, Curly
Gail
Neal.
Sayers.
Curly
Curly
Neal.
Neal. Curly Neal. Now,
This
do you
would
know
be-
who Curly Neal is?
Yes, you're referring to Curly from the Harlem Globetrotters, correct?
Yes, man. So iconic. We
Okay.
lost Curly this year, man. Wow. Crazy,
Tom
man.
Seaver, famous
Yeah.
baseball pitcher. Tavares Jackson, Whitey Ford, another man. There's a lot of baseball names in here. Brian
Yeah.
Dennehy, Robert Conrad, Lou
Yeah.
Brock, Bob Gibson, Terry Jones, Hal Ketchum. And
There's
then
a story
let's
with
go
Hal
back.
Ketchum, too, that I can tell you about real quick if you like.
Well, let's hear it. Yeah, let's hear
Okay,
it.
so country music in the '90s was like, it was huge, man. You had Garth, you had Trisha Yearwood, you had Hal Ketchum, Clint Black. It was that.
Marty Stewart,
George Strait, Marty Stewart,
Alan
those
Jackson,
big names.
to a
Alan
lesser
Jackson.
degree in the late 90s. Yep.
Yeah, so living in Nashville, as Keith said, you just kind of run into people, man. It's just how Nashville is, and you could be
Brooks and Dunn. Should I
Brooks-
just
yeah.
keep going?
yeah,
Reba
absolutely.
McEntire.
Yeah, I mean,
this is
the
getting
list is on
annoying yet?
and on and on and on. No, man, because I love all those people. But Hal was a really super nice guy, great songwriter, great vocalist. man.
Billy
I love his-
Dean.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, man. Go ahead. I'm playing.
Unlike the trap country that we have going on today, but
Right.
so when I first moved to Nashville again, I worked at for a large retailer in
Hooters?
the automotive industry.
Oh,
Excuse me?
okay. Yeah.
In the
said
automotive
Hooters.
industry. No, not
Okay.
Hooters. No, that was after work every day.
Okay.
But I got to know a guy that was one of our top salesmen, which he eventually became our lead technician out in our service center as well. He ran the shop for us. And he invited us over for a barbecue one night at his place. And he lived not far from where the store was located. And introduced me to his neighbor. And his neighbor happened to be a Grammy Award-winning songwriter. His name was Harley Allen, who wrote all the big hits for Alan Jackson. Also won a Grammy for the Soggy Bottom Boys. He's big in bluegrass and that sort of stuff. Used to be a staple at the Bluebird Cafe, Douglas Corner Cafe for writers and writers rounds. We used to go to all those things. But anyway, I was a singer-songwriter at the time, and I was I had done some studio work, and I had played my friend this music, and he goes, let me get Harley over. Let's see if he'll listen to it. So he did. He came across the street, and he's like, yeah, it's pretty good, man. It's all right, it's whatever. So I was like, okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. And we became friends. After that, we hit it off very well, but he wanted to go down to a large restaurant chain called Applebee's to go have a cocktail. We didn't have any booze. He wanted a cocktail.
You
So
like
he
that
agreed to
microwave
drive
food?
us. Yeah.
Okay.
So he
Yeah.
agreed to drive us. He used to hang out at the bar there. And he said, "Come on over. Let me go tell my wife that we're going to go and just go on in the house." So I walk in the front door, man, and there sits Kathy Mattea and Hal Ketchum and his wife, Debbie Allen, who was a backup singer at the time for Garth Brooks. All of them just sitting there writing music, man.
At Applebee's.
No, in his house across the street from where we're having this barbecue, because my friend and Harley were really good friends. And there's another great songwriter that we ended up losing, unfortunately, many years, about a decade ago. We lost Harley, but he was a great songwriter. Go look him up, Harley Allen. Anyway, there's my story about Hal Ketchum. So there you go. I met him once.
And you know, sometime we need to get into, as I'm listening to your story there, it occurred to me how many of those we probably have between us.
Oh, I know.
You know, and some of them are entertaining just from the standpoint of they're very human moments that some of these people, you sort of learn, you know, like, you know this, I know you know this, and I you know, when I have worked with a lot of people in that industry, used to work in that industry, and you know, the fan thing at some point, it's like, yeah, it's just a dude, you know, like some of them are super eccentric and weird, and some of them ended up being friends of mine, and you kind of get over yourself, and you kind of get over them, and you kind of get over that whole stardom thing, and you're either going to be able to talk to each other like two people, or you're if you can't, right, and if you constantly treat them like a celebrity, they're going to keep their distance from you, because that's weird. And I just remember, like, several of my closest friends to this day, I became friends with them before I knew what they did, and we just have always maintained that sort of, like, I don't care what they do professionally, but that's not why we're friends, you know?
Likewise.
And so we should consider doing that sometime.
We will.
Maybe I'll tell you a story of Martina McBride in the bathroom or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
and I've got some stories that I might have to get some permission to talk about.
Right, right.
Seriously, I mean, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
To get some permission, because I do know some fairly famous people, and I can't, you know, just blurt it out. And we don't want the cat out of the bag. But anyway, so yeah, man, we do need to get in that conversation about that. So
one of the last ones on the list, may be the last one on the list here, unless you have any more.
There is one specific that I definitely want to talk about.
But one of the most famous, winningest football coaches of all time.
This was the one that I wanted to talk about. Yes.
I don't think ever got a Super Bowl ring. Am I mistaken on that? Did he?
I think you're lying.
Oh, I'm thinking of Marino. Sorry. Don
now,
Shula.
Marino played for the same team for many years.
Right.
But Don Shula was one of the winningest coaches out there, but he is, to this day, the only head coach in NFL history to have a perfect season, and nobody has been able to repeat it.
And Marino is the one that never ended up with a Super Bowl ring, even though he has been to Super Bowls.
That is correct.
During Don Shula's era, but I digress. Yes. Don Shula.
Yeah. Don Shula, man, was just a great guy.
I told you this football thing, man. It's a little, you know. Not
well,
quite,
you know, there were a lot of greats on that team, that particular 72 Dolphins team. And, you know, you had, well, their quarterback was Bob Greasy, which was incredible. But the running backs, man, and fullbacks like Mercury Morris and Larry Zonka. The receivers, man, Paul Warfield. Oh, man, dude was just so awesome. Tight ends, Marv Fleming, man. The list goes on and on of the talent that was on this team that won that Super Bowl. They were just such a dominant team that year. But I have an aunt by marriage. She's my stepmother's sister, who in that time was actually married to one of the position coaches of that particular team, the 72 Dolphins. And when she passed away, she gave me something very special that she was given by her husband at the time, and I'm not going to mention his name, but I actually have an original team photo of the 72 Miami Dolphins. It is autographed on the back. I'm not going to take it out of the frame to do that, but there you have it, man. Don
autographed
Shula, man.
By
Rest in
Don?
Don,
Who autographed
Don.
it? Okay.
Don. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, man. It is awesome. I'm sad to see the guy go, but he died undefeated in regards to
Ooh. Yeah.
the most winningest, or
about
the,
that?
the only
Yeah.
team to ever go all the way without being defeated. So there you go. So I'm pretty proud of that connection there. I lived in, my preteen years. I lived down in Florida, a couple of places, North Miami.
Who hasn't, Jay?
Well, now, yeah. I mean,
Right?
this is true. So what else you got? Who else? Who do we got? Was that the last one?
That's it. I mean, that's not it.
Yeah,
but,
there's a lot of people that passed away. We lost some very talented people this year. And not only talented people, we lost a lot of people to COVID this year. And rest in peace to all those people. So
while it's still called today, get out there to our website, check us out. Best do it while you can. Never know what tomorrow might bring, right?
this is true. This is true.
To quote the great poet Sammy Hagar, it's right here, right now.
Oh,
Right? Don't
I
need
think
to
I'm
worry
getting
about
kinda
tomorrow.
thirsty.
I was doing my best to segue into this, man. It didn't quite come out like I intended, but I think I did okay. I mean, it wasn't like
did great.
my worst segue attempt ever.
You did great. I'm loving
I know,
it.
Jay.
I'm all over it.
Sometimes you're looking at me through the camera and you're like, "What? What is this about?"
Where is he going with this now?
Right.
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
right, so Sammy Hagar, who you might know as the Red Rocker, former frontman for Van Halen, current frontman for The Circle, who also have an album coming out this year from the Lockdown Sessions, which have been quite entertaining.
Yes, they have.
But that's not why I'm mentioning him today. Today I'm talking about Sammy because he had what I think might be a good holiday drink. I promised you at the beginning of the show we would mention this. Jay's going to run down to Union Tavern, did you say, and have Rothmeyer?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have Rothmeyer make this for me, and maybe I'll maybe we'll do a live segment.
Yeah, there you go.
There, if that can happen. I can't go in, but I can order it, go down, sit outside, or pick it up and bring it home. So we'll see.
There you go. So this
Either
is
way,
called
it
the
can
Red
happen.
Saint. It's by Sammy Hagar.
Say that again. It's called the
now-
what?
The Red Saint.
Okay.
It has to have the word red in it, and I'm sure the drink is red. It has to be if it's Sammy's, right? So
Timing is
some of
perfect.
what I'm gonna mention in here, they're Sammy's brands, but certainly if you don't have those, you can probably substitute for whatever your
Just
favorite,
research the
whatever you
name
got,
of it to
right?
find out what it is, and there'll be another brand out there. But you may order. You may
Just
want
Google
to
it.
be legit and go buy it. You might can order it or something. Who knows?
Or walk into your favorite corner store and ask them, and they'll give you options. But here it is. Okay, so it's 1 ounce of Sano Blanco, a half ounce of Sammy's Beach Bar rum, which is redhead rum, a half ounce of Sammy's Beach Bar white rum, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, a half ounce of triple sec, and I never say this right. My wife always corrects me. Cointreau, is that right?
Cointreau.
Cointreau?
Cointreau.
Cointreau. I see. You can tell I'm not a bartender. All right, just go with either a half ounce of triple sec or a half ounce of Cointreau, and then a half ounce of tangerine juice and skin if you're in the mood for a little bit of what do you call that? Little texture in your
Jigger?
drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so mix all that up. I'm sure you can do it in a shaker
garnish and
because there's no
texture.
gin in it. Yeah, garnish and texture. There you go. And
So,
there you go.
I've
So once
seen-
again,
I've-
1 ounce
I've
of Santa
s-
Blanco.
I've seen.
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I've seen
Sorry, Jay, go
Rothmeyer
ahead.
take the grate the
Yeah. Put
the peel. You get it's like getting the essence of it. It's like you want to capture the essence of the whole drink, and I think that kind of helps
so
when you do that.
There's three things going on there. There's presentation, which is a big deal in a high-end drink. There's the smell, which it
Right.
kind of releases more of that into the air, and then you get the texture in the drink, which, if you're a fan of, again, is it's a thing. So once again, 1 ounce of Sano Blanco, a half ounce of Sammy's Beach Bar Redhead rum, half ounce of Sammy's Beach Bar White rum, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, a half ounce of triple sec or I can't do it, Jay. Do it for me, please.
Cointreau. That's Cointreau.
There you go. Yeah, and one half of one tangerine juice. I'm sure they mean a half ounce.
And skin. That's optional.
And skin.
Though.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, if Sammy puts it in there, and you want the whole essence of what he's trying to do for you with this drink, you need to do it like Sam does.
There you go.
That's my recommendation. And I know Rothmeyer would say the same thing. There are substitutions that you can make to get there, but leaving something out, you're missing the whole point. Period.
Yep.
And you being the bartender yourself, Keith, you've mixed quite a few in your lifetime.
Yeah, but just understand that when people ordered Cointreau, I never had to say it. They just said it to me, and I was like, yeah, okay. Give them triple sec.
Well, can I have me some of that there Cointreau?
I never said I was a good bartender. Okay. I just took the tops off a beer.
Great balls of fire.
Oh, thank you, Little Richard. All right. No, that was Jerry Lee Lewis, wasn't it?
That was Jerry Lee, man. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Tutti Frutti, man. Tutti Frutti. That's a good drink too, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, Rudy. Tutti Frutti. Oh, Rudy. Okay.
So on that note, and because the battery just died in my light, I think we
have something to say real quick though. Go
ahead. Yeah.
Can I say something real quick, and then we'll wrap it up?
Yeah.
Just sit there in the dark, man. You'll be all right.
I'm in the dark.
You're in the dark. So we know the year's been tough for a lot of people, man. Period. We know that. It's been tough for everyone. Some tougher than some for others. But we all seem to kind of keep trying to muscle through this, lean on each other to get it. I know that it's hard to find good in bad times sometimes. I'm a firm believer that you can find good in dark times or bad times.
Am I gonna end up crying? I'm gonna end up crying on this.
No.
Okay.
But here's a piece of advice to you. If you are having a hard time with this, if you are feeling down and you are having a hard time finding good right now, then go make good. Be good, and you will have found good. Go be good to somebody. Create your own good. And then the rest will work itself out. Trust me when I tell you this. Be a good human being. Be good to each other. And we'll all get through this. So there you go.
Amen. I think we end it with that, man. That's fantastic.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay.
Keith
Thanks,
over there.
everybody.
And that's me.
Are you gonna?
Bye.
Okay. All right, everybody.
You got something to say?
Sorry.
I want you go ahead. Say something.
And that's how we end it. Everybody,
Okay.
Thanks for watching. That's my podcast partner, Jay, on your left. My left, your right. Sorry. I'm Keith. I don't know what day it is.
Yeah,
we'll make
just be
it.
good.
I got Jay to get me there.
Right on.
Thanks, Jay. Love you, buddy. Take care, everybody.
You too, man.
See you
Take care.
soon.
Peace.